All right, thanks again, everyone, for being a part of today's session. We'll go ahead and get started. And again, if you have questions, comments, thoughts, please go ahead and load those into the chat for the WebEx. This is Richard Davis, Director for Alternative Dispute Resolution at the Department of Labor and Industry. And we're grateful to all of you for being a part of today's session. And we look forward to sharing with you the latest and greatest about what's going on with campus. So briefly, just a few updates, going over a couple of issues. I want to briefly talk about some of the items that are slated to be covered in the April release, which is part of our development roadmap. And then I'll turn it over to Aaron Frederickson for a brief demo Q&A on some of the technical aspects of campus. So if you have any questions, Aaron should be able to guide you through that. And then, of course, just reminders about where you can find information at any time on our website if you have questions about campus or you're looking for additional guidance. So again, I just want to make sure that people are aware tomorrow, our Commissioner, Rosalind Robertson, will be giving a brief update at the Workers' Comp Institute, along with Chief Judge Jenny Starr from the Office of Administrative Hearings. And they'll be talking about the latest and greatest in the work comp space, things that we've learned over the last year in the wake of COVID, as far as our various business models. And then also certainly things that are substantive updates in the work comp space, including some legislation that's recently been signed by Governor Walz. Commissioner Robertson will be talking about that. So for those of you who will be taking part in the Institute, I'm sure that the Commissioner will appreciate whatever questions or comments you might have. And I'm optimistic that she'll be able to give a lot of substantive updates that will answer questions that people have about what's happening and what's forthcoming here at the department. Just as a reminder to folks, we always want to reiterate how important it is for people when they're using our search functionality to make sure that the information that's being entered is done so accurately. So just be careful when you're typing a name, make sure that there are no typos, ensure that whatever ID numbers are being used, whether it's JCN, WID, social, the date of injury, any of those should be accurate to retrieve the information that you're looking for. And the reason why we just want to reiterate this point is because accuracy of information can help cut down on the creation of supplemental entities, which in turn creates additional work claim shells for us here over at the department. So it's a little bit of help us help you by giving us what we need up front. So just a reminder that we can continue to use the system effectively and efficiently by making sure that the information is accurate. And lastly, just again to remind folks that if you have questions or suggestions about issues or topics that we should cover or highlight, whether it be at the answer hour or in our newsletters, please send that information to us and we will absolutely do what we can to respond and grant that request. Our next newsletter is going to be sent out this Friday, and it will have a lot of detail about some of the items that are scheduled for our April release, including those release notes. So I would encourage you to look for that and make sure that you have that information readily available once it's sent out. And then we'll also be scheduling our next answer hour soon. That time has not been decided. I think I mentioned this previously, but I'll just reiterate that moving forward, we will be probably scaling back on our answer hours. So historically, we've been doing these every other week. Moving forward, we'll likely be doing these monthly. And if and when we have a critical issue, we can certainly do a one-off or an ad hoc answer hour, but our regularly scheduled answer hours will be curtailed to once a month. So we'll get that schedule and send out a reminder here shortly. But again, if you have thoughts, comments, questions about items or topics that you'd like for us to cover, please go ahead and send that information to us right away. As far as issues that we're dealing with at this time, I want to make sure that we highlight something that's gone out here over the past week. So last Thursday, we sent out a GovDelivery email to inform system users that access to closed claims um, has been removed in those instances where there's not an NOA on file and there's no pending litigation. And you can see that we have quite a few different reasons and rationale for going down this path. The one in particular that I'd like to highlight is the concerns that we have uh, for the recurring cybersecurity threats that are coming in uh, with increased frequency over the past several weeks. Multiple firms, insurance companies have let it be known that they've been hacked and subject to aggressive phishing attempts and things of that nature. And so we're not exactly sure what the rise or what the cause is for this uptick or the rise in these external threats. But nonetheless, we need to be responsive to make sure that the system, overall system integrity and data integrity is preserved. And so one of the ways that we can do that is to remove this access to closed cases. If you would like to reinstate access, you believe that it's necessary, the call to action here is that you would file an updated notice with the department and if you just have general questions, comments, concerns at any time, please forward that to our help desk. And they're certainly briefed and they know how to forward those comments to the appropriate party so that they can be responded to very quickly. But just want to make sure that folks understand not only why we're doing this, but functionally what this means. It should not impact uh, your overall usage of the system, but what it does mean is that those cases where there's not a notice on file and that the matter has been considered closed, you will not see that in your dashboard as you're logging in. So if you have comments, thoughts, questions around that, please forward that information to our help desk, or you can reach out to me directly. We'll do what we can to address any concerns that you might have about the decision to remove access to closed cases. Briefly, I want to talk a little bit about our roadmap moving forward over the course of the next few days. We have our large system release for the month of April slated for Thursday night of this week, so the evening of the 29th going into Friday the 30th. And there are quite a few things that are of note for the legal community. And you can see some of the items here, and I believe we've shared these previously as potential deliverables, but these are in the queue, as it were, to be acted upon. And you should see these changes uh, come to light and be executed over the course of the next few days. Uh, all of the items that are listed here are things that we heard from our users, feedback that we've gotten, and we want to, as much as possible, act on those requests and that feedback so that we can deliver an experience that works for everyone. One thing in particular I highlight is PDFs that open as blank in campus. I know that many of our staff members and the help desk have gotten quite a few comments around that. So to the extent that we can deliver against that request to make it so that those PDFs do not open blank, we absolutely want to uh, grant that request. So this is an overview of the big items that are slated for the April release. Again, when this is final, when these system updates are actually sent out, you'll see confirmation via the release notes that are included in the newsletter to explain not only what happened, but what the switch was and what it was previously and what it is now. So I would encourage everyone to look for that level of detail to be included in this Friday's newsletter. And again, if you have questions heading into the weekend or even early next week about what's been done, if there are any functional changes that you might see in the system, please send that information to us. Let us know, alert us, so that we can make sure that we're staying on top of that. So with that, I will stop talking and turn it over to Aaron Fredrickson. Aaron will give a brief demo. And again, if you have any questions or thoughts of something that you'd like to see covered specifically, you can drop that information into the chat and we'll try to answer that question or demonstrate it during the time that we have allotted. So Aaron, take it away.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, Richard. kind of seems like I'm having one of those days. I just noticed that my glass of water is completely empty and I got a piece of that brownie stuck in the back of my throat. So hold on just a second. Excuse me. I guess if I start choking then and I die, it's work related and I get to file a workers' compensation case, right? Just kidding. So one of the things that I wanted to reiterate again is kind of the hierarchy in campus. Uh, when you're reporting a problem to the help desk, the best thing that you can do is kind of drill it down to that closest or lowest level. I think in the past we were always used to reporting things based upon a WID, and in the legacy system, uh, it was, I guess, somewhat easier to find documents, pleadings, understand specifically what the issue was based upon the WID, at least in terms in the system that we're operating now. And this is a slide that I've used in the past. We have claim level. A claim is a date of injury for a specific employee, and then a particular dispute. So if you're having problems filing a request on a specific claim or request for assistance on a claim, let us know that claim number. When you're reporting something to the help desk, the claim number starts with the letters CL. Or another example is you're having problems filing a response when reporting that as far as the dispute number, the DS. The dispute is a specific, I guess, case under a claim, so a medical request, a rehab request, et cetera. And that is something that starts with the letters CL. So just kind of wanted to give you a visual too of what we're seeing and just to kind of help y'all understand the issue. I'm going to share my screen. This is a test environment and an example if somebody reports a problem or an issue that they're having with Cleopatra Calderon, and they only provide us with the WID number. As you can see, I look at all the related claims on this particular individual, and it's a lot, and it can be kind of cumbersome and time consuming in terms of our ability to respond. Whereas if you're having a problem with this particular dispute right here, DS 0258566477, just letting us know the name of the employee in that particular dispute number. In a lot of instances, it's easy to go in and access that particular dispute. And for example, if the user's having a problem filing a response, we can go ahead and see what the issue is in the background. And this is just what we're seeing on our end. I guess the internal side of campus, where you're used to seeing the external side. Any questions on that? You can definitely follow up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull that PowerPoint slide up again. So in case you want to go ahead and take a screenshot of that and just use it as a friendly reminder in terms of kind of the hierarchy or levels within campus. I'll go ahead and share that. And this is something that you can then print up and put on your desk to help your teammates out. Kind of one other thing, kind of a point that we're seeing is receiving a lot of tickets as far as people filing motions to intervene. And what I'm finding on our end is probably 90 to 95% of those tickets that we're receiving with healthcare providers having a hard time using campus. The reason why they're having a hard time using campus is because the case is over at the Office of Administrative Hearings. In the past, under the legacy system, we would go ahead, those motions to intervene would get uploaded into a particular workers' compensation file, and nothing would be said. But at least how campus is designed to function, it's the filing system for the Department of Labor and Industry, and not the Office of Administrative Hearings. So when a case is over at OEH, when you're sending out your notices of potential intervention, Somehow please highlight that the case is at the Office of Administrative Hearings, and that's going to save those healthcare providers a lot of time and frustration. And I think too, at least part of my understanding, I've been involved in Minnesota workers' compensation for 19 years, and I've come to accept the fact that we have two court systems within Minnesota workers' compensation, and it will probably always be that way. Uh, but a lot of times you're dealing with office individuals who don't necessarily understand the two court system in Minnesota workers' compensation, and spend a lot of time trying to explain to people that because the case, for example, let's say that a claim petition has been filed, there's potential interveners, that filing needs to be at the Office of Administrative Hearings. So anything that you can do to help out healthcare providers when they're trying to intervene and letting them know that it's a case over at Office of Administrative Hearings, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'm just going to check the chat. I don't see any questions in the chat. Richard, is there any?
Yeah, we got a couple that have just come in. Let's see. From Tina, can you demonstrate the proper way to file an objection to intervention when the provider has not filed a motion to intervene in campus? Rather, they have only served it on the parties. An objection to intervene is not a filing option.
Yes, I can certainly demonstrate that. I guess, first of all, if the case is over at the Office of Administrative Hearings, the filing would be over at the Office of Administrative Hearings. Let me jump into the test environment here. I'll reshare my screen. And I'm sharing my web browser, right?
It's coming up in just a second. Oh, thought it was going to come up and then it didn't. Here we go. There you go. Sharing content.
If there's an objection to motion to intervene, you would go into the dispute details page. And I know that this is the dispute details page because in the upper left-hand corner, it says dispute and then the DS number right up here. I'm going to highlight that. You would go to submit a filing and choose the filing, other filing. This screen will come up, upload your filing. I'm going to select my test document. One limitation is there is not a specific, I guess, drop down that says objection to motion to intervene. You can certainly feel free to pick any selection. So I'm just going to pick correspondence to department. I'm going to type objection to motion to intervene, ABC Medical Clinic. And what I would do with this particular document, I guess, let me just take a step back, is I would go ahead and prepare an affidavit of service and mail it out, PDF all the documents. So the document that you're uploading includes your objection with an affidavit of service. And sign my name. Next. You'd also have the ability, if they were listed as a party, to serve it this particular way. At least that the party that's trying to intervene would not be listed as a party because there's still a potential intervener. You could also use this add service recipient. Likely you would have to send them by mail if they're not registered on the system. Complete this pop-up box. Complete the form by typing in the name that matches what's in the upper right-hand corner and submitting the form. One feature too to remember is if you want to see the document that you sent out on the transactions submission verification screen, there's a hyperlink for the document. It's a alphanumeric number that starts with a DO. And I have my test document right here, along with the affidavit of service that I created. And Tina, if you have additional questions regarding this process, I'd be more than happy to set up a time to walk through it with you.
Aaron, we got one other one that's tangentially related. So you mentioned the affidavit. Kimberly Matson asks, if you have prepared your own affidavit of service, how do you turn off the affidavit of service in Campus?
You know, and I think I misspoke when I was talking about preparing the affidavit of service. I am not aware of a process where you could upload that particular document without doing an affidavit of service. So if I could revise and extend my remarks, it would be PDFing the document that you're creating and then creating your affidavit of service on campus. If that healthcare provider is not a listed entity within the campus system, there would be the option to serve them via US mail, and then you would simply print the document that you create on campus, the web form document, and print a copy and mail it to that particular healthcare provider.
Great, thank you. Kimberly says thank you. All right, excellent. Let's see if there's anything else here in the chat. Oh, there were a couple things going on here. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it in the chat. Tina just said thank you. She got the confirmation she was looking for. That's great. So yeah, any sort of closing comments, parting thoughts before we before we exit today, Aaron?
No, really enjoyed the opportunity, and thank you very much for the compliment, Tina. Always appreciate working with you and people from your firm.
Great. So Tina just dropped something in here that maybe we'll have to table for today just because we're a little short on time. We can do something as a follow-up, but it's around demoing any and all requests on files that are unrelated to those we are representing. Tina, let's see if we can follow up with you on that directly. I know any and all requests have been something that we've discussed briefly in intros before, and I know we typically have partnered with our CRT colleagues on that, but let's see if we can touch base with you offline and get a little better sense of what exactly it is that you might need there. Okay?
And Richard, I just sent Tina a private message.
Okay.
And Tina, if you want to follow up with me after this program, that'd be great.
Great. Yeah, any and all is definitely something that it does take a little time, so we'll be happy to work you work with you to provide some guidance around how to navigate that process in conjunction with our colleagues in CRT. Great. All right. Well, thanks again, Aaron. Appreciate you sharing that. And again, everyone, will go ahead and uh, put a bow on today's session. As I mentioned at the outset, we do have um, the newsletter slated to go out this week, and any additional updates or Gov delivery messages, we'll be pushing those out as needed if new information arises that we want to make sure that system users and stakeholders are aware of. In the meantime, please continue to visit the Campus Central page and look for those updates to go out. And if you have any questions that you want to send to us, feel free to connect with us via the help desk, and you can see the email address listed there. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to speaking with you again soon. And at any time, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks and have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.